Hey, it's Luke at HIP, and if you've been listening to the Grow Ortho podcast maybe for weeks, months, or in some cases years, you know that we typically interview an industry expert, whether it be someone working in the office or a consultant, or just a strategic partner for orthodontists. Well, we're going to change things up just a bit, and this year we've actually released 4 books. And so we're going to release every audiobook, basically a chapter for each episode. Listen, enjoy, and let us know what you find valuable and implement and what works well in your office. Thanks so much for supporting HIP, and we hope you enjoy all these episodes on the Practice Growth series.
Chapter 6. Tracking and Following Up with Pending Patients. Follow up and follow through until the task is completed. The prize won. Brian Tracy. The end goal of every new patient consultation is to hear the word yes. We want them to agree to the fees, make a down payment, and get in the chair to start treatment. If they can't start the same day, we want them scheduled to come back for their start. If neither of these two options happen, their file moves to pending, and in a lot of offices, that's the end of story. Your team is committed to helping patients to do what's best for them, so it can be a real blow to hear the word no. Once you implement the processes in this book, that should happen a lot less. In fact, you should see that this only happens less than 25% of the time. However, no matter how good your team gets with these systems, about 1 out of every 4 new patients will not be ready to move forward with treatment. When a potential patient leaves your office without saying yes, the chances of them ever starting care in your office drop dramatically. That chance drops to almost 0 if your TC gives up on them. That's why having well-defined follow-up practices for pending patients is crucial. This chapter outlines how your TC can effectively track and follow up with pending patients to turn that maybe into yes. Don't give up on them. It can be demoralizing to put your whole heart into something and not get the result you were hoping for, but it's important to keep the right attitude. These people aren't all solid no's. You just have to see them as not right nows. All they need is someone caring to check in with them on a regular basis to see whether they are ready to start. The magic is in the follow-up. Tracking and follow-up can be time-consuming, and it's the first thing to fall through the cracks when the days get busy. But you can make it easy. It starts with getting your team in the right mindset around pending patients and having systems to make sure follow-up happens every day. It should be exciting to look at your list of pendings and see how much money is sitting there waiting to be tapped. These are all people who self-identified saying, "I really want a better smile." They wanted it badly enough to book an appointment and show up for a consultation. Maybe today the timing is right for them to say yes. TCs have a million things to do every day, just to take care of the new patient consultations coming in. It's natural to prioritize them because they're potential yeses, but dropping the people in the maybe category is leaving a lot of money on the table. With the right systems for tracking and follow-up, your office can get a lot of these people to start, and best of all, the hard work has already been done. Encourage your TC to follow up with pending patients every week for at least a month. They're not being a bother. They're helping these people to stay focused on the smile they always dreamed of. When your TC follows up, they're just offering assistance by removing obstacles to a dream these people have and a decision that has already been made. However, it is important to consider what's holding the patient back from starting. If a patient doesn't want to start treatment because they're going overseas on a family vacation for the next 2 months, calling them every week before they leave would be annoying. Some people may want to begin treatment for their child when the school year is over. In these cases, it is important to make good notes in their file and set reminders to connect with them when the timing is right. What's the best way to follow up? For your TC to track and follow up with pending patients efficiently, you must have a system in place to ensure that it's consistent and patients don't get lost. They will need to be able to generate an up-to-date list of the pending patients, their contact information, and any notes that describe their objections to starting treatment. The majority of offices I've worked with have their TCs tracking their pending patients in an Excel spreadsheet. This has been the standard practice in the industry, and it works pretty well. There are newer systems that make things easier and more efficient for the whole team, but before we get into that, Let's talk about how to use an Excel spreadsheet to keep on top of your pendings. Casey, Vanessa, and Mary, the wonderful TCs who volunteered to contribute to this book, all use Excel spreadsheets to track and follow up with pending patients. Casey from Fishbine says, every single new patient in the patient care center is tracked in an Excel spreadsheet. So if a new patient did the exam but doesn't want to start today, the TC makes notes to go back to that Excel sheet to keep track of them, and it's easier to call that way. Also, this is how we determine bonuses for our TCs. We see how many pending patients started within that month by looking at their spreadsheet, and they are rewarded accordingly. Mary from All Smiles explains, we have an Excel spreadsheet named Pending, where we put all the patients who haven't started. We call this our tracker. Each TC gets their own tracker, and they must ensure that they add each pending patient to the list and follow up with them until they give you a firm yes or no answer. It works for us pretty well. And Vanessa from Connect reveals, I use an Excel spreadsheet to track all my patients, schedule patients, patients who have decided to start, and patients who haven't started. It's all color coordinated since it's for my eyes only to keep track of. For patients that have had their consultations but haven't started, I'll highlight them in bright yellow. That way, I can see it every day, and I can always keep track of who to follow up with regularly until I get them to say yes to a start. And it'll be either a phone call, checking in, asking if they have questions, or a quick text message, letting them know we're there for them when they're ready to start treatment. As you can see, they all have their own methods and reasons for keeping the Excel spreadsheet for tracking and following up with patients. Here's the thing with the Excel spreadsheet. It's organized and efficient, but it is not automated, and it requires a lot of manual steps. What I mean is, when your TC makes changes in their own spreadsheet, like adding notes after a call, who started, who is still pending, and who declined, it doesn't automatically sort by day or month. It doesn't automatically push out text messages to nurture the lead into a new patient. It doesn't create tasks for follow-up or show you any type of reporting metrics that would show your entire team's activities and conversions. The TC has to take time out of their day to constantly update its information, and they have to keep adding the new pending patients to the list. Now let's talk about how a system that actively tracks pending patient interactions can make follow-up easier for the whole office. Remember Practice Beacon? If you've read Front Desk Secrets, you have already been introduced to our CRM system, Practice Beacon, PB. If your scheduling coordinators are already using it, your TC may already be familiar with what it is and what it does. PB is mostly used by scheduling coordinators for tracking and following up with leads they are trying to schedule for new patient consultations. We've developed a new system so TCs can also use it for tracking and following up with pending patients. Their information is already in the system, and it is simply a matter of moving the new patients through a workflow so that scheduling coordinators, treatment coordinators, the operations manager, or anyone who's involved in patient care can see that patient's status at a glance. Here's what the workflow looks like. The scheduling coordinator uses PB to contact prospective patients from the leads column. If the patient agrees to schedule a consultation, the scheduling coordinator moves them to the appointment scheduled column, and the TC takes over. The TC takes that new patient and goes through the consultation. The new patient either agrees, declines, or waits to start treatment. If they agree, the TC moves the patient to the started treatment column. Getting started with PB for pending patients. If you've been using PB in conjunction with the Excel spreadsheet, all the leads that have booked consultations since you started using PB have probably ended up in the appointment scheduled column. Why would anyone bother moving them any further? You may have several hundred or more names in that column, being a mix of people who should be sorted into started care, declined care, observation, and pending. Your team will need to do a cleanup on the appointment scheduled column before the system is ready to go. Once your team is used to sorting the new patient consultations into the appropriate columns, your TC can check the pending column daily to see who they need to follow up with today. What's so great about PB is that you can phone or text a patient right from the system, and all contacts are recorded by the software. The notes section can be viewed by anyone on your team, and everyone knows what is happening with each patient. if your TC insists on working from a spreadsheet. Your TC can easily export the most recent data to an Excel spreadsheet and use it to make their calls and build reports. If some of the patients are from referrals or Google searches and did not get added to PB by the scheduling coordinator, they should be added to PB so all patient information is consolidated in one system. Here are a few advantages when using PB to track and follow up with pending patients. The entire team is using the same system. Everything is in one place, centralizing all the data. It's constantly updated and active. You can phone, email, or text directly from PB. Everyone can see where the patient is in the pipeline. You get an accurate picture of your practice growth at a glance. It's insanely easy. Using PB for tracking and following up is the next level of training we're giving our practices. You just heard it here first. Keep in touch. If your TC is feeling down about not making the sale right away, I encourage you to remind them of this. Pending patients want to start treatment, otherwise they would never have scheduled the exam. If they're following up with pending patients once a week for at least a month, the odds of conversion are still good. Did you know that only 44% of the leads we generate for our patients will ever be called or followed up on more than once? Yet 93% of conversions happen after the 6th touch point. Math aside, this basically means that the more your team follows up with pending patients, the more likely they will be sitting in your chair. Make sure your TC is following up consistently via phone or text message. A simple call or message is really all that is needed to let the patient know you're thinking about them and looking forward to seeing them when they're ready. Reactivation campaigns. We already know that fees are the biggest obstacle preventing new patients from starting treatment. One way to overcome this is to have your TC reach out to pending patients to tell them about promotions and incentives going on that month. We call this a reactivation campaign. Are you planning on doing a down payment match for June? Let them know. Did you receive a new stock of Gobi toothbrushes this week? Text or call them about the giveaway you have for all new starts while supplies last. The easiest way to do this is by using PB. If your team is using it to schedule new leads and plans to use it to track and follow up with pending and existing patients, PB really is your secret weapon for practice success. It's so simple. Just go to all the columns in PB where patients aren't currently scheduled to start, such as pending or recall, interested, no-show, or even declined treatment, because why not take your shot again? They are added to the automated reactivation campaign and get dripped texts and emails about promotions happening in your office. By training your scheduling team to respond immediately to those who answer, you can get those people back on your schedule. Here's an example of a reactivation campaign text message via PB. Hey there, prospective patient's name. Still interested in orthodontic treatment? There's no better time than now to get started. This week only, practice's name is offering $1,250 off braces or Invisalign. This offer won't last, so reply yes now, and a member of our team will reach out to schedule your appointment. Vanessa from Connect knows how effective reactivation campaigns can be to get patients back on board. If I haven't heard from a patient in a while, I'll send them a promotional offer via Practice Beacon. The last time I did it, it was about $500 off. They called me as soon as they received it in their email, and we got them started the following day. People are busy, and sometimes they forget, or they're just so concerned about the money and they're waiting for you to budge a bit. The reactivation campaigns are super successful, so I always take advantage of it with my pending patients if there's a promotion going on. Works like a charm every time. Take it from Dr. Farina himself from Farina Orthodontic Specialists. He recently partnered with HIP and scheduled 65 to 70 prospective patients and started 50 from one single reactivation campaign. To hear his story and learn more about reactivation campaigns, go to https://hip.agency/the-ultimate-TC. Just make sure the follow-up gets done. No matter what system you decide to go with, make sure the follow-up happens consistently. It works like magic and puts money in the bank. All it takes is having the proper systems in place. We're excited to work with our current practices on transitioning to PB for all their patient tracking and follow-up needs. We think it is the best way to keep everything streamlined and efficient for the ultimate growth of your practice. If you're feeling just a little overwhelmed by all the different processes and scripts involved in staying on top of leads, new patients, and pending starts, don't worry. In the next chapter, we've pulled it all together for you. You'll see how the scheduling coordinator, TC, and orthodontist work together to take an online lead all the way through to starting treatment.